I'm Max Goodman with NJ.com, and speaking of the Mets, coming to you from Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium in Jupiter, where the Mets defeated the Cardinals 14-3. Freddie Peralta, the Mets' new ace, made his first in-game appearance in a Mets uniform, his spring debut, throwing 3 perfect innings. He looked like he was in mid-season form. But I've already talked about Peralta in another video, so I wanted to run through 3 observations and takeaways on a couple other important names at camp. And if you're wondering why I'm standing here next to the left field wall, it's because MJ Melendez, the left-handed hitter who is competing for a roster spot this spring, he parked 2 balls over this wall during the 14-3 win for the Mets. And let's backtrack a little bit. Before the game this afternoon, or even this morning, I think it was before noon at this point, the Mets were taking BP, and Melendez hit a ball. I can't get it on camera, but this light post, he hit it like a third of the way up, and this is opposite field. And you're thinking, all right, maybe there's a jet stream, maybe it's just BP. But sure enough, he showed off that opposite field power in the game for the Mets. And, when Mets manager Carlos Mendoza was talking about Melendez after the game, and even when he's talked about him previously this spring, the power, the upside offensively is a huge part of Melendez's game. He was, of course, a very highly touted prospect with the Royals, coming up as a catcher, eventually transitioned to other positions, including outfield and first base. So the Mets like that versatility. Melendez really didn't pan out with Kansas City. He showed flashes of brilliance, but never put it together for a full season. That's why he was on the move inevitably and ended up here because he liked the opportunity with the Mets, and he has a chance, if all things go well, to carve out a role for himself. But it's also worth noting here with this right field competition. I know it's really early. It's not even March yet, but all of these candidates are playing so well so far, right? I mean, Mike Tauchman hit the home run a couple of days ago back at Clover Park in Port St. Lucie in his first swing at Mets camp. Carson Benj, he played here today in Jupiter, showing off the speed. He was playing really well, but he had a 3-hit game the other day. Melendez has a couple home runs. Man, even Christian Pache, who is a non-roster invitee, he's here at Mets camp. He's been racking up the hits. Yeah, a couple home runs already, or at the very least one. Now, obviously, having a 40-man spot is important here. Melendez has an option. Maybe he's someone that you'd want to send down, but it all comes down to Benj. He is the biggest name of this puzzle here, the top prospect who all you hear is about his makeup and how good he is on the field and off the field. So I feel like it's his job to lose with however many weeks left in spring training at this point. But when I asked Mendoza after the game, is this shaping up to be a tough choice for you guys? He said, this stuff usually plays itself out. It's still very early. We've got 4+ weeks to go. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here either. Transitioning now to closer Devin Williams, who, like Peralta, he also made his first Grapefruit League outing here on Friday. And his very first pitch was a home run by J.J. Weatherholt off the batter's eye in center field. Weatherholt is, of course, a top name with the Cardinals. They're going into what's going to be an interesting year in St. Louis. They don't have many good players at this point. They've traded a lot of guys away. They're rebuilding. But that was a bomb to center field. And, of course, social media goes wild when Williams gives up a homer on his first pitch. But I will say that he settled in really well, only threw 8 more pitches in that inning and induced weak contact to get through it. Their next 3 batters, he retired them in order. And when we caught up with Williams after the game, he said he's not really reading into that pitch too much because, one, it's a new pitch for him. He's working on that cutter and that slider to offset the changeup, which is, of course, his bread and butter, and the fastball too. But this is what spring training is for, to work on those other pitches. And in this case, he was just trying to groove one, get me over strike. And he said that, if anything, he babied it, tried to guide it, and that's when other teams are going to do damage. But historically, Williams said that he normally pitches about 8 or 9 times in Grapefruit League play. And in this case, this was just his first outing. So he's not looking at the results and living and dying with those types of situations just yet in spring training. Again, a long way to go until opening day. If this was happening on March 20th, then maybe there would be a little bit more of an issue here, but he's still learning these new pitches. And finally, a prospect, AJ Ewing. Man, he can really play. And I didn't know too much about him coming into this year, as I'm new on the Mets beat. You think of Benj, you think of McLean, Tong, those big names from the farm system. But Ewing is someone that, if you have not had your eye on him yet, you need to start to familiarize yourself with. He had 2 hard hit balls again today, both registering over 100 miles an hour in exit velocity, including a 400-foot home run. He can fly, racking up the stolen bases in minor leagues. Last year was a breakout year for him across 3 levels, and he got up to Double-A Binghamton, where he was raking over 20 some odd games, I believe it was. So look for him to get an extended look in AAA. I think that's fair to say for 2026. And he is slowly but surely, or in some cases rapidly, climbing up the prospect rankings around Major League Baseball, certainly within the Mets org after, Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams were traded away in the Peralta and Tobias Myers deal. I'm definitely keeping an eye on Ewing. I know I've already talked about him here on Speaking of the Mets, but he is really making a strong first impression so far this spring.